Hello, it's 9 p.m. in Djibouti. It's your English news edition, the top stories. Displacement of the Prime Minister to the regions in order to meet the population. Those are the top stories, and thank you for joining us. At the invitation of Arta's population, the Prime Minister made a visit this morning where he was accompanied by several members of the government and parliamentarians. The population of Arta from all the localities of this young region has massively hosted the Prime Minister. On his arrival, the Prime Minister welcomed by the ministers Dr. Jama Al-Mewkiye and Mr. Yunis Ali Gedi, surrounded by the prefect of Arta and the president of the regional council and all the authorities of the region. The Prime Minister was greeted by a large crowd and took a walkabout. The population for the visit of the Prime Minister was impressive, where the population was all present for the occasion of this visit of the Prime Minister to Arta. The first shared a moment of sharing with the artists, and the end of the visit gifts were given to the Prime Minister. After the reunion and the celebration, a meeting between the Prime Minister and the population in the presence of several members of the government took place. A representative of the Arta population thanked the Prime Minister for his visit to the region. The discussions were frank, cordial and direct between the two parties. The social situation, especially the difficulties in the basic development sectors, was widely discussed during the discussions. The Prime Minister has listened attentively to the exchanges with the community leaders of the region and promised to find solutions to the complaints raised by the population. And after the meeting, the Minister of Health took the floor to indicate that the governmental delegation and the members of the RPP Executive Committee took note of the grievances raised by the notables. This meeting of the population and the Prime Minister was important to the extent that he was accompanied by all sectoral ministers. For his part, the Minister of Health announced that the social infrastructure mentioned during the meeting are being carried out in Karta and Wea. The members of the government here present have done the same and have promised a rapid response to the grievances raised by the representative of the population of the region of Arta, has concluded the Minister of Health. And finally, it is the Prime Minister's turn to say thank you to all the people for their warm and unique welcome to his delegation and to himself in this beautiful and youngest of our country's regions. Concerning the grievances raised during the meeting, the Prime Minister reassured the assembly of the notables that they will all be satisfied within a delay with the help of God. The Minister of the Interior, Hassan Omar Mohammed, accompanied by the Executive Secretary, traveling to Geneva in Switzerland to take part in the 180th IAM's Council. The Republic of Djibouti was the distinguished guest of the 180th IAM Council. The head of the delegation of Djibouti, Hassan Omar Mohammed, delivered a highly anticipated and highly important speech on behalf of the head of state, His Excellency Ismail Margili. The Minister of Defense now in Saudi Arabia, in Mr. Ali Hassan Bahdon, accompanied by General Tahir Ali Muhammad, Acting Chief of Defense, by Colonel Mustafa Ali Anglais, a military advisor of the President of the Republic, Mr. Shahim Muhammad Salah, Technical Advisor to Defense Minister, Colonel Abdul Rahman Aden, Commander of the Navy, and other civil and military personnel traveled to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia from 24 to 27 November in order to attend the fourth inaugural meeting of the Islamic Military Coalition to fight against terrorism. On the sidelines of this visit, the Minister of Defense in charge of relations with our Parliament, Mr. Ali Hassan Bahdon, was received by His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud, Crown Prince, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Defense. During this meeting, the discussions were focused on the excellence of cooperation relations between the two countries, and more particularly in the field of military cooperation. As well, the Djiboutian Defense Minister also met with Deputy Prime Minister of Somalia, Mahdi Mohamed Goulet, head of the Somali delegation. Their interview focused on strengthening bilateral cooperation between the two ministers in the activities of our contingents in Somalia. A Djiboutian delegation composed of Mr. Dia Aydin Said Bamakrama, Ambassador, Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of Djibouti to Saudi Arabia and non-resident to the Sultanate of Oman, and Mr. Abdurrahman Ali, Advisor to the President of the Republic of Djibouti and President of the Board of Directors of the company Air Djibouti, met in his office in Muscat. The Minister of Transport and Communication of Oman, accompanied by the President of the Authority of Civil Aviation of Oman, in the presence of the Secretary General of the Ministry of Transport of Oman. The discussions with the Omani minister focused on bilateral relations, and in particular air transport between the two sister countries by the national airline Air Djibouti. The Minister of Women and Family, Mumina Ahmed Hassan, accompanied by the Minister Delegate to the Decentralization, Hamadou Aramis, the UNDP representative, Mrs. Barbara, and the Prefect of the Jora region, Abdul Malik Mohammed, went Thursday morning at the Sub-Prefect of Dora of the Tijora region. She was welcomed by Mr. Abdullah Kamil, the Sub-Prefect of Dora, and the local elected representative, as well as the numerous people on this occasion. The Minister has delivered kits of sewing machines sent by the First Lady Khadra Mohammed Haid with accessories that will allow women to embark in income-generating activities. The women thanked the First Lady for this gesture. The Minister and she also recalled that they will benefit from training on perils and tapestry. And then the Minister and her delegation took the bath to Abel village. She was able to visit a class of literacy program in Afar language set up by the Ministry of Women on the initiative of the President of the Republic to eradicate the illiteracy of women in the country. Learners expressed their satisfaction and interest in this program and the benefits they will receive, and they thanked the President and the First Lady for this project. And after Dora and Bal'o, the Minister of Women, accompanied by the Minister Delegate to the Decentralization, Hamadou Aramis, the representative of the UNDP, and the Prefect of the region, as well as the delegation rejoined, went to Agande, where they had a very warm welcome from the population of Agande. The Minister thanked the population for the warm welcome and asked the women of Agande to invest more in the craft industry. The delegation spoke with the community, the women of this locality did not fail to thank the First Lady for their interest in them, and after fruitful discussions between the delegation and the population, their grievances are also reported. The first International Trade Fair of the Republic of Djibouti and Forum on Regional Integration, the event is important and preparations are finalized at the People's Palace. Our country is preparing to host this Sunday and Monday two major events. It is the International Trade Fair and Forum on Integration. The preparations are well underway at the People's Palace, where will be organized these two important events, which will be an official showcase, and many officials and business leaders are expected for these two major events that will be sponsored by the President of the Republic. The President of the Chamber of Commerce announces that this first fair and the forum will be an opportunity for our country. The Hotel Acacia yesterday hosted a signing ceremony of the partnership agreement with the European Union and the International Association of the French Mayors of the project to support the Djibouti City Council and the National Association of Local Authorities of Djibouti. The European Union is the exclusive donor in the matter of support to the local authority through a £950,000 grant to support decentralization issues in the countries and improve the quality of service provided by local authorities to the administration. This signature comes at a time when the management of wastewater is a major problem for many of the African capitals, is one of the main environmental problems of our cities. At the end of the ceremony, the Mayor of Djibouti City and the EU Ambassador and the Permanent Secretary of the International Association of French Mayors signed a partnership agreement. Yesterday afternoon was a day of friendship between the State Secretary of Youth and Sports and the Saudi Islamic Institute, a highly symbolic event attended of Department of the Secretary General of the Department, Mr. Mohammed Ahmed Farah, as the main organizer of the ceremony, reaching color alongside the head of the Sports Director, Abshir, the Saudi Ambassador to Djibouti, Mr. Hassan Al-Ahmari, honored with their presence this day of friendship organized at the complex of Roi Fahad in Belbela. Let's remind you that in accordance with the policy of the promotion of sports set up by the head of state, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, the Department of Sports broadens its field of action in order to promote the national sport in all the institutions of the Republic. And to close up this edition with, under the auspices of the International Olympic Committee and in collaboration with the Djibouti Olympic Sports Committee, the Somali Olympic Committee has organized an opening ceremony for the training of first-degree athletic coaches at the National Technical Center from 27 November to 8 December. This training took place in the presence of the Secretary General of the Somali Athletics Federation, the Secretary General of the National Sports Committee of Djibouti, the President of the Women's Sport Commission, and the expert trainer of Ugandan origins and the Ethiopian experts as well.
I'm excited to be in Djibouti to run this IAAF Level 1 coaching course. I should first of all applaud the commitment and support given by the National Olympic Committee of Djibouti for having accepted to host this course. As you know very well, this is a course again for Somali participants. In real terms, it is supposed to be run in Somalia, but because of certain circumstances, we can't run this course there, and then National Olympic Committee of Djibouti assists to facilitate have this course run here. Again, we applaud them for their support and the good gesture that they've shown the athletics family, but also the people of Somalia.
Well, that's all for this news. Thank you for joining us on RTV and have a good night.